just expressing our respect and admiration and pleasure at their company. Now, some of you have prepared something to say, is that right? Has anybody prepared something to say? I'm going to give you time for you to say what you would like. But what we hoped was that this could be something of a conversation. Because there are two ways we can do this. We could make this morning just a succession of speeches, or we could make this a conversation and an engagement with one another, and an opportunity for every member to be able to ask the questions that they want to ask. What I wanted to begin with was to go around, and I hope you won't find this too discourteous, but to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak, just to give you 3 or 4 minutes to talk about the origins of your chaplaincy or the origins of your own ministry, focusing on your own chaplaincies, and just perhaps your first involvement with the association, whatever that association's name was at the time. And I will very subtly and respectfully just indicate if it's time for us to move on to another person. I hope you don't mind that. So I will shut up, and you will probably know who is the kind of longest, furthest, the senior man. John has a microphone for you. If you would just tell us about how it all started.
It started
Yeah.
It started 1972 in the 30th to the 14th of March in this year. The airfield of Frankfurt became an international airport, an international hub in one night. And we knew that there have been in Europe already airport chaplaincies, but nobody knew what it means. So we saw in Germany there has been already London, there was Belgium, Brussels, there was Paris, there was Madrid and Rome. And so we said, what the others can do, can we do also? So the government asked for an airport chaplaincy. So, but who can do it and who will do it? And so our local bishop and our provincial asked me to go to Frankfurt to construct an airport chaplaincy. So they said to me, we don't know what to do in this case, but you can try it. If you have success, it's good. If not, then you can come back. So I went to the airport in 1972, and I stood in this big hall, and I thought this is like a cathedral. And it looked like a cathedral, but nobody I could find God. So I knew what we had to do. We had to bring God into this civil aviation place of the airport of Frankfurt. And how to do it, I had to learn, because nobody could explain to me what I have to do. So we had a room, and one room. In this room we have been the Protestant chaplain, myself as a Catholic, Roman Catholic chaplain, and 2 secretaries. And one telephone is the same number. So we have been really an ecumenical airport chaplaincy in the beginning, but we have been also in the beginning already in the religious chaplaincy. Because people came and we didn't know, are you Muslim, are you Christian, are you nothing, or what are you at all, Buddhist? And they all came and we talked with them and we learned from them what we had to do. Because they came to us with their intentions and what they wanted to know or to have, and so we asked them, what can we do for you? And I said to our staff, we have been about, in short time, with 25 to 30 volunteers, we don't ask any question, only the one is allowed, and this means, what can we do for you? And from this we learned our work, and then I found out there are two groups of people in this airport. The one, these are the passengers, the others are the people working there. And an airport, as everybody knows, is very, very mobile. And nobody lives in an airport. So, but we needed people in front of us to help us. And so I went first to the people working there. They were helping on the move for sure also, but not so fast as the passengers. And I had one friends, and they helped us, and we could have been growing, and after 31 years, this was the end of my work at the airport in Frankfurt. So it was a successful work, and it went on. This is going on in the same way.
Thank you so much for that. We learned from them what we have to do. That's really amazing. And we simply asked, what can we do for you? Faced with initiating a program of work like that, that seems a really good place to start, and a really humble place rather than just telling people. John, you have the microphone.
Thank you. I was appointed chaplain of O'Hare Airport in 1982, and I had come into a rather old, established chaplaincy. At least I looked upon it that way. It was founded in about 1960, and there had been a chaplain there for more than 16 years previous to my appointment. There was a meeting in 1982 of the International Association of Civil Aviation Chaplains in Amsterdam. So I attended it. My very first, I wasn't even chaplain a year when I came to this group. Kind of a young buck who had lots of ideas and the like, and I met some of the real giants, I would say, of this ministry. People like Happy Hogue, Walter Motter here, Peter Holloway, Dare Stevens from Australia. They were became very good friends and people that got to know very well. I was a little upset, I think, at the meeting in 1982 because there was a problem of, I thought anyway, identity and a lack of a real solid constitution in the organization. You know, that they followed procedures and protocols and guidelines and laws and things like that. So I questioned things as a young person would do in some field, but that's the way it was. In 1984, I attended the conference in Melbourne, and only being a chaplain 2 years, was elected president of the International Association of Civil Aviation Chaplains. And we also at that time more or less agreed upon a new constitution for the organization, which I was very pleased with, and some kind of guidelines and norms that we would be following in the future. I was president of IACAC for 10 years. During my administration, I would basically have to say identity was a very important topic for me, and I tried to develop that. I looked upon the association as an association, not as a religious group necessarily, or ecumenical or interfaith, but I looked upon it as an association of individuals who provide pastoral care in airports around the world and who are endorsed by a religious institution recognized. At that time we were always talking about the World Council of Churches, but we wanted people that would be members that would be recognized by some kind of formal world organization that recognized religious groups. Right? The Constitution was very important to me. It was key in my administration for the 10 years. Norms, guidelines that applied to all members that would be followed, pretty strictly. I also was very concerned about developing 3 world arenas. That meant that instead of us just being the people who would meet in Europe and the United States, we would concentrate more on developing contact with chaplaincies in other parts of the world, and therefore our conferences would move to 3 basic arenas, which would be North America, Europe, and then basically the rest of the world, but mainly Asia and the South Pacific was the 3rd arena that we really looked at. And I was very happy that during my particular administration, we did go to our first developing nation, which was the Philippines, in 1989, and had a conference, and it was very important, very significant. We also, during my particular period, worked on the thing that host chaplains, that was the various chaplaincies that would receive a lot of input and direction from the board and from the president. So at that time we start traveling around to the various arenas that would host meetings so that they could be very worthwhile meetings, and they would have the input and the history and the tradition of the organization as they did that, like we did in the Philippines and the like. And also during that particular 10 years, we invited to all of our conferences the endorsing religious institutions. We wanted representatives of the various religious groups that had chaplaincies in airports to be there, so that they could be also then informed and supportive of their chaplains around the world. So that developed, and we did have people at all of our conferences, pretty much so from, I would say, typically from 3 or 4 various religious institutions. And I thought it was very worthwhile. And developed regular letters and communications to all of our members as a group. 1986, Gatwick was the first time I ever chaired a meeting. Pretty worthwhile. 1992 was our 25th anniversary in Brussels. I was very proud to be the president at that particular time. It was a very large meeting, and it was the place where we were founded in Brussels, basically, so that's why we went back for the 25th anniversary. And then in 1993, I actually hosted it in Chicago and did something very significant. We had during our conference, the founder of the critical incident stress debriefing programs that had become very popular in airports and emergency responders throughout the world, Dr. Jeffrey, I can't remember his last name. Mitchell, Dr. Jeffrey Mitchell, actually was there at that conference, and everyone who attended and went through all the workshops received a certificate that they were so certified as someone trained in this. So it was so important that our conferences be something worthwhile and beneficial to those who attended, rather than just a vacation or social thing. We wanted it also to be a teaching experience. And then shortly after, I passed the microphone over to Father Devine.
Well, that's a very good link. Thank you very much. So we've heard from Europe and America. It is not something that we have planned, but just the way things have worked out, that we only have representatives around this table from Europe and the United States. So if you're not from Europe and the United States, I hope you are preparing lots of pertinent questions for those of us gathered around the table. Tell us how it all started, and that can be your own chaplaincy and or your involvement with the IACAC.
Good, thank you. First of all, I'm very thankful to Father Chris from JFK for inviting me to come to the conference this year for the 15th anniversary. I have very fond memories of my membership in the IACAC when I was first appointed by the bishop to the chapel in 1988. I was informed by the present chaplain, Monsignor Tom Flanagan, that there was going to be a conference in Dublin the following year, and would I like to go? And I had not been to Ireland, so my parents came from there. I said, yes, I'd love to. So I went to the conference and met a number of the people from the IACAC. And I'm very happy to be here today to see so many of them that we shared together many years ago. I also reflect on the increasing diversity in the membership, which is a wonderful thing, in the presence at the airport chapels, having diversity. And also, I see a great concern today, even more so than years ago, with refugees, those who are coming to the airport to find a place of peace, to be able to live and live in peace. As I was watching CNN the night before last, to see all of the people who are fleeing a country because of persecution. And the IACAC opened my eyes to the fact that people are suffering. People are coming to the airport because they're fleeing from murder, they're fleeing from persecution in the country that they grew up in. And the airport chaplains and the airport chaplaincy is a place where they come for help. And to be able to respond to that in some small way. We have the Travelers Aid Society at Kennedy Airport, and they, in cooperation with the chapel, help those who are coming and in need. So for me, it's a wonderful, uplifting experience to be able to see the response of Travelers Aid and the response of the chapels to help people who are really desperately in need of help. So I'm grateful to be here today, and thank you very much for the invitation to be here.
Seamlessly, we'll move to Walter. Tell us about how it started for you.